So, mental game, it's kind of played out at this point, but, I always try to keep it in the forefront of my mind. I feel like every time I start to play bad, run bad, or whatever, it's somehow connected to about how I'm playing mentally, and it's, it could be a lot of things. It could be just I'm surfing the internet too much or chatting on GChat or Skype or whatever, and I'm not focusing for 20, 30 games at a time, and that's definitely not a good idea. I go through phases where I'm like super motivated and focused, and then sometimes where I just try to coast, and I think if you can eliminate that from your game, that's going to do you a lot of good. So usually when I talk about mental game stuff, I try to stay away from a lot of like different hokey things. I know there's a lot of information out there, so I really just try to stick to the basics. It's not anything too fancy. But anyway, let's check out. I basically separated into 3 different parts. So if we talk about the pregame, I think this is honestly, it's probably, I think, the most important, maybe close to or tied with the mid-game that we'll talk about in a minute. But it's one thing that I probably have the hardest time with because it's so easy for when you wake up or whatever, you just jump on the computer and start playing. But I'm sure many of you heard this before, but think about like an athlete. If they're going to go play a game, they just don't like run out into the court and start, shooting basketball or kicking a soccer ball or whatever. They stretch, they warm up, they do jumping jacks, all that type of thing. And I think that's really important for a poker player because your cognitive abilities really aren't going to be at their peak right when you just start playing. I mean, you have to really kind of soak it in and take it as it is, one by one. It's kind of like, think about, like, if you ever tried to like write a term paper for school at like 8 o'clock in the morning, like, I don't know about you, but it feels nearly impossible sometimes. I usually wait till like midday or like later in the day to do different tasks that require a lot of function, whether it's coaching or playing poker or dealing with different businesses I have and stuff like that, making phone calls just because I know I'll be at my peak performance. So I like to kind of summarize all these different bullet points with saying, taking stock of yourself before playing. So it could be something as simple as just like sitting down and just like thinking for, be reflective for 2 or 3 minutes and kind of tell yourself things that you want to do. I want to just focus on the hand at hand. I just want to focus on this one hand. I'm not going to think about my overall results for the day. I'm going to focus on playing X amount of volume. I'm going to pay attention more to people's check raise and 3-bet ranges before making certain plays and that type of thing. So I think something as simple as that. I think you could like to just take a walk around the block, do some push-ups, something like that, something simple, and I think that'll pay quite a few dividends. So one thing I always like to do too is journaling. I definitely don't do it as much as I should, but journaling, whether it's just like your own personal one, like I keep one in just Notepad, sometimes I blog, but just talking about, it's basically everything I just verbalized in terms of what you can do and just write it down. It's been scientifically proven that writing down things helps you remember them more, and I think just developing like a regimen every day is going to be pretty helpful. So you're kind of like, I do this, I do X, I do Y, then I do Z. And I think that'll help out. And then just doing simple breathing exercises, I think is a good idea. I know that helps me focus a lot. Just breathing deep for 30 seconds or a minute, especially when this is more a mid-game thing, but when you're tilted, like just taking a step back and centering yourself is always a good idea. And I always stress this in every mental game video I do, and probably feels pretty rote by now, but eating right and working out, not even just poker, but just your life in general, it just helps you absorb so many things so much better. I know that whenever I go on a kick where I don't work out for a long time or I eat crappy, like if I eat McDonald's or something before I play poker, even if the results aren't necessarily like that different, like that black and white, it still doesn't feel great. So, and the other thing I stress is just being comfortable. I'm probably a little bit more OCD than most of the people watching this video, but I don't like to have anything on my desk when I'm playing. I don't like to have like soda or whatever. I just like to have my mouse, keyboard, monitor, and like I put my like cell phone away in the other room, turn it off, don't have any food or anything, and have it be nice and clean, and sit upright in your chair, and close your door if you have other people living with you, to try to make as productive an environment as possible.